So I'm going to share the lyrics of one of my favorite songs because it's so poignant. It goes like this. We know the family is the solution to the world's problems today. Now let's take a look at the family. In the family, the father is like the head, the leader, the director. Not domineering, but showing love and guidance for everyone else in the family. Now, if we could get all the fathers of the world to stand up and be fathers, that would be great. Those lyrics, of course, from the classic Family Reunion by the OJ, so powerful. It's a clarion call for a crisis that, to be quite frank with you, has gone on too long. And now, by the way, in this country, it's hitting all races and nationalities. But my next guest has helped craft a bill that's been introduced to the Florida legislature. It's aimed at taking on the fatherhood crisis. Joining me now, the Commissioner of Federal Commissions on the Social Status of Black Men and Boys, Jack Brewer. Jack, congratulations, man. I know you fought hard for this. Tell the audience about the bill and why it would make such a difference.
Thanks so much, Charles. Yeah, I mean, this is the crisis of our time. It is the civil rights crisis of this day and age, and its fatherlessness. And I have to tell you that Speaker Sprowls and the entire Florida legislature were very bold in their action to stand up for the father in our nation. For so long, masculinity has been deprived, and I think this bill goes right at it. It offers financial support for those kids that are in the foster care system, kids that are aging out of the foster care system, that have never had an opportunity to have a real dad or a positive influence, giving them money for college and other support. It also promotes mentorship and actually giving chances for dads like me to go out and break ourselves out of our own families and bubbles and go help some of these fatherless kids. I mean, the crisis is real. With over 18 million fatherless kids across the United States and America, our country ranks #1 of all nations with the most fatherlessness. And that should really hurt all of us. That's a burden that should really just crush the hearts of us all as Americans, because our nation was founded on family and on God.
You know, and of course, it is a national issue now. For a long time, it was really a serious issue in the black community. And when my parents divorced and we moved to New York, I was stunned, absolutely stunned at the dearth of fathers. And you know, we see the outcomes, don't we? I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about this. I mean, you work with at-risk boys. If we can close the gap, if we can find a way to close that gap, what would it mean in your mind from the work you've done in terms of economics, community tranquility, less crime, more optimism, more hope?
Equality and equity begins and ends with the father. You can just see it. I mean, poverty rates, 5 times higher for kids that don't have a father. You look at our prisons, they're full of fatherless men. Who are piling our prison system, 20 times more likely to go to prison if you don't have a father. So these stats are real, and they really drain your economy. You see how crime has spiked in so many of our communities across America and our inner cities. If you look at our welfare system and you see whether it's housing or if it's just WIC programs, all of these programs are really out there, and the mass majority are fatherless who are in them. I think I read a stat that 42% of all the kids born on Medicaid are fatherless. Yeah. I mean, so it's just draining the system in proportions that we can't even imagine. And so it is weighing on this economy, Charles, because, if a kid doesn't have a dad, they're never able to reach their full potential. And their academic level, it doesn't go to where it should be. And they just don't have that drive and influence. And so, we're hoping that more states get behind these type of policies and these bills that can really, put things in place. We're not asking for welfare programs. We're talking about going after these bills that are disincentivizing the family and making them prioritize the father again.
Jack, you've got all kinds of worldwide experience. You were in the NFL. You're a businessman. You've helped so many people. Here's one of my big concerns, particularly when it comes to kids, that there's this constant campaign in my mind to keep the black community divided. It's interesting. Last year in America, we tore down 90 statues of Confederate soldiers. A week ago, there were 3 young black guys, young black men outside of this building here at Fox, and they were pointing to a photo of me. It's on the building. They were calling me a coon. And there's a small Italian woman. I've known her for about 20 years. She works in a building. She was walking by and she stopped in her tracks and she just read them the riot act. And so when I heard this story, I felt so bad, so heartbroken for them, for those kids, because they don't know how much I love them. They don't know how much I fight for them every day. How do we learn in this society to really love and admire each other, regardless of things like politics or hurting each other because we wear a different color bandana?
You know, Charles, this is a spiritual battle. And unfortunately for those kids and so many kids across our nation, we really tainted their spirits. And so they look and they see folks like you and myself who get on TV, wear ties, and we're the ones advocating for them. But the society and the schools have indoctrinated them in this sick culture that spews this rap music in their ear and all of these things that get their minds off of reality. And gets their mind off of love, and they end up not loving each other, and all that goes back to fatherlessness. And I mean, it's a broken homes, and it's really a broken culture, like you said, that'll stand up against statues, but they won't tell the men in our community to man up and be men, and actually admire men like yourself that are setting the example of success for African American little boys around this nation. They won't lift your name up, but they'll praise all these guys that are cussing and putting rap music that is encouraging violence and threatening our communities, Charles. So I praise you for that, man, and I encourage you to continue on. And we do have a fight on our hands, and we must continue.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm liking some of the people I'm seeing in the rap game, but I'll tell you one thing, Jack. I don't care how they feel. I'll never stop fighting for them, and I'll never stop loving them. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Amen, brother.
All righty.